Contractors. We're talking about contractors.
No, sometimes they suck.
Those slippery little devils.
Hey, some are good.
Hey, if you guys have contractor horror stories, and if you've been in this business, I know you do.
You won't want to miss it.
You won't want to miss this. And share your stories with us. We'll take your questions on creative finance as well. But today's topic is the elusive, dependable contractor,
Right.
or quality contractor.
Today on Go Talk.
Today on Go Talk. So we'll be back. 45 seconds.
Get your coffee.
Good morning, Deed Grabbers. It's Tuesday. It's time for Go Talk. Today, we're talking about contractors.
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are. If you guys are joining us on our YouTube channel, we'd like to invite you to subscribe to that channel. You can do that at sub2tv.com. The back side of YouTube gives us all kind of stats on all y'all. We know where you're from and what kind of car you drive and all kind of stuff.
Social security number.
But it also tells us that about 70% of the people that watch the videos aren't subscribed to the channel. I've never really understood that. If I like something or I'm interested in it, I usually subscribe to the channel. That way I get a notification anytime there's a new video or something like that. So you guys hit that subscribe button, the notification bell, and all that stuff, so you'll know when we release a new video, which we do just about every day. We do this live once a week. We talk about creative finance generally, or something to do with it. Today, we're talking about contractors.
Because we've been dealing with them a lot.
Yeah, you know, and it's a really good example. It's really a good opportunity to remind ourselves to stay in our lane, because for years, I haven't touched anything that needed, at worst, probably paint and carpet. But anyway, we're going to get into all that. We appreciate you guys joining us. Let us know who you are, where you are. Gosh, who we got on here? We got Vincent. Good morning from Houston. There's Joyce. Joyce in Bryant, Arkansas. We met Joyce again this past weekend. We were down in Little Rock doing.
And Russell, I think is her husband.
Yeah.
Yep.
Doing a work. We were doing a workshop for Randy.
I think that was right.
Randy, I think so. Yeah, in Little Rock. Charlie's in Little Rock. Chris Adamski, good morning. Good to see you, Chris. You still out there door knocking? Chris is one of our Sub-2 Max students out there in Arizona, killing it.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, so let us know who you are, where you are. Share our live, if you will, so we can get some more investors in here. If you have contractor horror stories, want to hear about those, of course, but
yes,
we're going to talk a little bit about ours. Juan's here today from Dallas. Hey, no problem. Glad to have you here. Says, sorry, I'm a little late. Glad to have you. We haven't really started talking about much of anything yet. Let's see. We got Juanita from Little Rock.
Did you guys see William let me back in the house?
Yeah, she's back inside now. It's getting a little bit cold here. So we decided we'd let Jodi.
On the back deck
We'd let Jodi
over behind him there,
come
like off to the side, and it was a little too cold, and it's a little. All the leaves are gone, so it's too sunny. I can't see anymore.
It's pretty bright out there. I mean, you can tell it's practically white behind me,
know.
like there's a white out back there.
I'd be like this the whole time. So I came in.
So she came in.
It's harder to do it because of the sound, but we're making it work.
So let's talk about contractors. How do you guys hire a contractor? Now, there was a time in my investing that I did a dozen or more rehabs a year. And of course, I'd already been through the process. So, and I had my contractor stories then too. But, once you find a person or a couple of people, once you find flooring people, you find somebody to do painting, you find a carpenter, somebody to do tile or countertops, then your life becomes a whole lot easier. But man, that process of finding somebody's tough.
We talked about it last week, I think, about it's like dating.
Mm-hmm.
You got to kiss a lot of frogs.
You do. A lot of frogs, and we certainly did that here. I mean, I say we did, but we're on our second house, and I think we have 90% of our team right now. But man, that process of getting that 90% was pretty tough
and pretty costly.
Yeah, and it costs you a lot of money, because here's a fact: if I hire Joe to do work for me, and he does substandard work or doesn't complete the job, he may have gotten his money for 90% of the job, and 90% of the job may be complete. So theoretically, if I owed him $1,000, I should only owe him $100, and there should be $100 worth of work left to do. But I'm telling you, when I call that second guy in to finish what Joe started, it's not going to be $100 to finish it. It's going to be $500, because the second contractor always critiques the first one's work. That never fails. So it gets a lot more costly when that first person doesn't complete it. And there's a lesson there in that. Even if you don't let the contractor get ahead of you in the draws, if they don't finish, if there's not enough work left to make it worthwhile for them to come back to your project, and they just decide to move on to the next thing, it's going to cost you money. So we've dealt with all of that stuff on a couple of hours. I'll tell you the story. What happened with us is Jodi and I were flipping so many houses and leaving significant money on the table. And as entrepreneurs, we by nature always think we can do more. So I'll give you a good example. We bought one house. Now this really made a lot of sense. We bought the house and we've talked about this particular deal before, but as an example, just one we did this year, we bought it for $40,000. We sold it for $150,000 to a rehabber, and he probably spent $30,000 or $40,000. He probably spent less because he did his own work.
Right.
He was.
But it would have been probably $40,000 for us.
Yeah. So he may have spent the $30,000 on it. So he bought it for $150,000. Charlie knows about this deal.
Right.
He probably spent $30,000. So he had, let's just say, with
Charlie, if you think he spent more, let me know.
Right.
That's my guess.
Yeah. But let's say he spent $30,000. So he had $180,000 in it. He listed it and sold it promptly. So for $250,000. So after he paid other costs, he probably netted $50,000. Maybe a little more. And we saw that and said, we could have made that too, even though we made $100 on the deal, or just a little short, right, Charlie?
Right.
Just a few hundred short. So after a few of those went by, we said, well, gee, why don't, I guess we were bored or stupid. We said, why don't we do this on the next one? So
and then we were like, what were we thinking?
So we got a house under contract for $182,000. And I meant to get some of those slides from the workshop we did this weekend to show what we could make selling it, as opposed to, that would have been a good thing. But I forgot to do that. We got caught up in some other stuff. But we bought a house for $182,000. We figured we'd put $25,000 into it. It was really just cosmetic stuff.
Charlie thought a little more than $30,000.
A little more than $30,000?
If he did it himself.
Okay. So let's just say he spent $40,000. He still made.
And maybe that would have cost us $45,000 if
right.
we hired everything.
Right.
Yeah.
There was still more money to be made. And so we thought that we were smarter. We could do it. But anyway, it's all, it all works out.
But you know what? There's the time that it took too. I mean, for the extra $50,000 we would have made, maybe.
Right. We could have bought another house and flipped it.
Because we'd had all that time free.
Right.
Well, maybe it'll get better, but right now we're spending a lot of time going over there and checking on things. And that's time consuming. That's taking us away from deal hunting.
Right. Babysitting people that you don't know. And
like I said, that could get better later. But
I think it will now, because these last couple, the flooring people, man, there's nothing.
There's nothing. Paint
The
people
paint
were really
guy
this time.
was great this time. And this other guy that we've got, the handyman person.
I mean, he just needs to be told what to do. So
Right.
we have to do a little bit of that, but then he just does
Right.
it.
Like I said, I think we've sorted through 90% of the problems this
Mhm.
time, but getting there was painful.
Right.
So let's see. Juan said finding a good contractor is a lot like finding a good mechanic. Yeah, that's a good comparison for sure. Yeah, it really is. Let's see what Charlie say. It's important to look at any opportunity cost. Yeah, that's true.
These have cost us because our searching, our like marketing and stuff has slowed down so much because we haven't had time. Our foreclosure,
marketing
driving for foreclosures or whatever
Right.
has been non-existent because we've been
right.
tied up.
So again, it's a good lesson in staying in your lane. But what have we learned from this process? So what we've learned from this process is, number one, referrals are important, but they're not everything, because you can get some referrals that don't really work out either.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on
Did
who's
you get
doing the
a bad referral?
referring.
I don't really remember when that was so bad.
Well, I say referral. One, that somebody's already working on the job. You stop by, you find them. So, they've hired them. I mean, obviously
Wow, that's what happened with.
Right. The second
Jack.
one. Right. Let's call him Jack. Okay. In
We saw
fact,
Jack working on one of our old houses, actually.
Yeah, Charlie's familiar with this. This was the one that we had in Pea Ridge, Charlie. We actually stopped by that house one day and found the guy that was doing the work for that investor out of Atlanta. And
we looked around. It all looked good.
Right.
He was doing a good job, and
Mhm.
he was friendly enough and everything. So we
worked
hard, and we thought that was going to be a good deal.
Right. But we can't blame it all on the contractor. We made some mistakes in some of this stuff too.
We did not.
We let this particular guy get a little bit ahead of us. We were going out of town for a week, and he wanted to draw, and we gave him more than we should have, and that's when he lost interest in the property. Hey, Andrew, we're in here fussing about contractors this morning, for sure. So references aren't always everything. They're a good thing to have. I think the key is, first of all, not trying to go with the least expensive guy.
That's true. You get what you pay for.
Sometimes, but in this case, we found that to be true. If one guy says he'll paint the interior of your house for $4,000, well, you should come in here with us, Andrew, and tell some of your stories. And then the next guy says $6,500, but shows up without any issues, doesn't ask you for a dime, even for paint to get started.
Yeah.
People that aren't asking you for money up front, that a lot of times I have found that to be the biggest indicator that you're dealing with someone that's going to do quality work. Think about it. Everybody that is on our A list right now doesn't ask for money.
No, and I think there was one that asked for just maybe 10% for some materials, and I think that's probably okay. But these people who want 50% up front, whoa.
I think everybody that has asked for money before they swung a hammer has been a problem. Think about it. Let's think about everybody that we dealt with. Everybody on our A list, except the countertop people.
Right.
But when you're asking them to fabricate and cut several $1,000s worth of granite or quartz.
I feel like we've done 2 with him now, though. He may not do that after.
Right. But everybody else, something that can't be used for anybody else, that's fair.
Yeah, right.
But
they've cut it and ruined it.
But even the flooring people, when they're putting in $6,000 worth of flooring, that's already been installed.
Right.
And they don't ask for any money.
This is Charlie's point, which is exactly covers it.
If they can wait on their money, they're solid, at least financially. Exactly. We had a guy, one of the latest guys that we picked up, we got him out on a job yesterday, and he worked all day and called us and said, "Hey, I'm leaving. I'm going to be on another job for a couple of days, but I'll be back."
And didn't ask for a
dime.
Can I have today's pay or anything?
Right. Nothing.
I'll wait till next week.
Yeah. So one of the the biggest flag I've seen so far is asking for money up front. And I'm not saying a reputable contractor won't, but in our experience here.
Let's talk about Kevin.
Which
That has a
one's
funeral.
Kevin? Oh, Kevin. Yeah, Kevin was our follow-up behind the second contractor that didn't do his job.
Right.
So he came in, he gave us a bid on finishing up a lot of things after he told us how bad the work was. Strung us along every day. I'm going to be out there today. I'm going to be out there today. I'm going to be out there today. Didn't show up.
Every single day he said, I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there tomorrow. And he was never there tomorrow.
Right.
But we were busy with the other house. So we were like, let's just let that happen, for now. And
right.
See how long he'll keep lying.
Yeah. Then a few days ago, he said, okay, I've ordered these doors. We needed some cabinet doors that were missing. He said, I've ordered these doors. I've got the receipt here. I'll forward you this receipt. Can you bring me a check for this money? So I did.
But he never gave you.
But the receipt never came. And
that was our fault.
That was our fault because I should have said, send me the receipt and I'll write you the check. Right. But he didn't. And then when I requested it, he still didn't send it. And then his last day, because we have a contract with this guy, you should always do that. Always have a contract spelling out what's to be done, what the charges are. And our contract actually has a penalty if they run beyond the end of the contract. I'll tell you this about a contractor. If someone tells me something will be done in 7 days, I'll give them 10 or 14 days because I know stuff happens. I don't want to start penalizing them before it's absolutely just, it's their failure to get things done. So this guy had 14 days to complete this job that should have took 3. Didn't finish it.
He had a couple of other jobs, so he'd do it, slowly over he said it'll probably take a week, but maybe 14 days.
Right. So
we're like, okay, well, we were in no real hurry over there at that time. So we were like, okay, take your 14 days.
So the last day came and went, no sign of him, but he always had an excuse. You wouldn't believe this text exchange I have with him. Super polite always, promising everything, but never delivering. So he got a little money out of me. I don't have any doors. He hasn't done much of anything at the house.
I mean, he got maybe $500 roughly total.
I wrote him a check for $520. That was for the cabinet doors and a couple of little, that flooring. And so now he can't tell me where the doors are. I said, listen, just tell me where they are so I can go pick them up. But he doesn't want to answer that question.
He just won't answer. He just says, he just changes the subject. Oh, I did a little work, but I'm missing my tool. Have you seen it?
Yeah. Did the flooring guys get the tools? There are signs all around. And like I said, I take a lot of the blame for what's happened. If I hadn't written this guy a check until he sent me that receipt, then I wouldn't be out any money and it would just be lost time. Right. So, and time is money. That's true. Charlie, we're trying to get this thing listed. What's Charlie saying? We got some comments. Randy, maybe. Randy tried to. Did you use the link? That's Tom. Yeah, that's Randy. I told him to come in and talk about his contractor.
Well, let me see if I can give him a different link.
Jodi's going to send you something, Randy. Charlie says, well, let's see. The hand-to-mouth people can't manage their money and probably their business. That's true. That's true. That's the biggest indicator, though, that I've seen. If they're not asking for money up front.
Right.
Like I said, except in the case when you're asking a granite place to fabricate several $1,000s worth of countertops for you, they're going to ask for half, but they only ask for half. And
that's the right one, I think.
So that's okay. All right.
Okay, Randy, try that link.
Randy,
hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, we sent you a link. Give that a shot. But otherwise, so a really good reminder to stay in your lane. If we had not rehabbed this one house, we would probably have bought 2 more by now.
I know.
And made significantly more money. Now, the saving grace on situations like this is buying with something that I call certainty. We bought this house for $182,000. We took it subject to on a $152,000 mortgage. we wrote the seller a check for $30,000. We anticipated that we would spend 25 on this rehab, and the extra time and the extra contractor. I'm guessing we're going to spend 30 now. I mean, so it's going to cost us an extra $5,000 in contractor costs. Now that doesn't factor in the extra time, but so we're looking at having about 215,000 in this house. Now we'll list it, I'm guessing, for around 320. And after cost and everything are considered, I think we'll still profit about 70. So given our problems, which has been more of an inconvenience and really a small amount of money extra.
And it's caused you to do a lot more swearing.
It's caused a lot of stress. You know, our VA, I'll tell you this about our VA. We've got a foreign VA, and this guy's amazing. But one of the things he says that I 1000% agree with is that we're in a conversation with him about customers, about his clients, people that he works with. He's selective on who he works with, selective on who he stays with, and his reasoning. He's been with us for 2 years. He's great. But he told me once, this is a quote from him. He said, "Peace of mind is top for me." You know, just
he's dumped a few clients of his because they were too stressful.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's all about just a calmness, enjoying your life. Their whole rehabbing thing is just too stressful. And I've said 1,000 times, Jodi will tell you, because she's had to listen to me say it. I remember every reason why I stopped doing this. Every reason. So staying in your lane is important.
But, Randy's in here now. So.
Yeah. Okay. So let's see. Vincent, before we bring him, you go ahead and bring Randy in.
You can listen to the comment. Hi, Randy.
Hello.
So we spoke for Randy. Randy runs the Arc-RIA in Little Rock. If you guys are in that area, you need to go check him out. Great RIA down there, runs it real well. So we did a workshop down there, and we were talking with him when we were down there, and he had an interesting thing come up with his contractor. You want to share that with everybody? Tell them about this, because you'd been telling me, man, I got this great contractor. He does a fantastic job. So
until he isn't.
Until he doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're actually finishing today a rehab on a house that's $450,000, and
that's high dollar down there, isn't it?
What's that?
That's high dollar down there.
Higher dollar down here. You know, we're normally in the 200,000, 225 and below is what we normally stay in. But you know, when you get a good deal, you jump on it. And so, you know, the straw that broke the camel's back was when we were doing our punch list, and we see that instead of replacing all the faucets and handles and shower heads and stuff like that, we're going black, and we found out that they just painted them black instead of replacing them. But they charged us for the replacement value.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So
How'd you catch it? I mean,
my son caught it, you know, and I don't know if it was, I think he was over there doing stuff and maybe went to wash his hands or something and touched the handles, and he could feel it was kind of gritty, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
You know, I don't know what the deal was, but he caught it, and, you know, and we called his hand on it. And so they're, I guess, replacing them today. But, you know, it's just things like that it just bust all the trust that you have with somebody.
Right.
Yeah.
And this guy has done numerous projects, because you're rehabbing. How many houses you guys rehab a year? A bunch.
Not as many as you think. We don't rehab that many.
Mm-hmm.
This is only the second job he's done for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's newer to us, but he was, you know, he pays for everything up front. We don't pay for anything until the job is done, the punch list is done, and everything like that. So he fronts all the money. What's that?
Spray paint.
What'd you say?
That's his only cost, is spray paint, I guess.
I guess. But I mean, This is a $100,000 plus rehab. So he's fronted a lot of money on this deal.
Yeah.
And in the last rehab, you know, it was a $50,000 rehab. But you know, he fronts all the money on everything. But now this one is dragged on, and you know, different excuses. Like you said, my office got broken into, employees quit, material was stolen. I mean, you know, it's just, you know, one thing after another.
Right.
But this has been my theory, because I've rehabbed for, you know, off and on for 30 years. They all turn bad. They may be great for 6 months or a year, but somewhere down the road, and it's usually not that long, they all get a sniff of meth or crack or whatever it is, and they turn bad on you. So you always got to have at least 2 or 3, because they're going to go bad on you.
Wow.
Well, that's encouraging.
That's depressing. That all the more reason to get out. Be done with this stuff, man. I'll tell you. And we certainly wouldn't have gone into a second one as fast as we did, but this is a house we bought a couple of 3 weeks ago that we're going to live in. So we had to, you know, do some stuff. Yeah. So,
yeah, it's a different work ethic these days than there was even 10 years ago, you know?
Yeah.
Charlie said you should be used to excuses from contractors. I am used to them, but I'm always surprised at how creative they get.
Well, you know, it's like this guy that I've been talking to, this latest guy, you know, Kevin. You know, I texted him. No, not his real name, not yet, anyway. But you know, and I'm like, just give me the name. You know, where the door. Oh, he said, I'm going to go pick them up tomorrow. I said, you don't have to do that. Let's just give me the name of the place. I'll go get them, and we can wrap this up. We're done. You know, I paid you for them. Where are they at? And he can't answer me. He just doesn't respond. And I even said this morning, I gave him all day yesterday to respond. And then this morning I said, why do you want to ghost me now? Why don't you just tell me where they are? And
because he's got to find another job up to get the money to go buy them for you.
Right. Or we said, just give us the money back.
Yeah. Just give us the money
back.
back.
He doesn't have it yet. So he's trying to figure out how to get that money.
Yeah.
But he said, I'm not ghosting you. I have to go to my great grandfather's funeral.
Yeah. So and then they always
grandfathers he's going to have.
And then they always fall back. There's some excuse. There's some reason. So as someone who has rehabbed Randy for 30 years, now I've been in real estate now for 25, and I don't know when I started rehabbing, but I've done a bunch of rehab projects. I've probably rehabbed, I don't know, 50 at least or more projects over the years. So what are the tips? And obviously we still have trouble, so we haven't mastered it. What are some of the signs? What are some things you can do to try to ensure that you get a good quality contractor?
I mean, I'm still looking for that unicorn myself.
That's right.
Yeah, I agree.
My son would give me a hard time. Says, we're not letting you pick any more contractors, Dad. I'll handle it from here. You know, and this is one of his picks. So it's just, like I said, you get a good one and they last for 90 to 180 days, maybe a year at the most. Mm-hmm. And then they go bad, or they raise their prices so high you can't afford them anymore.
Now, Charlie, Andrew says, I'll call that guy for you right now. You know, and that he would be the nicest guy, Andrew. He really would. He would, yes, sir, no, sir. But he wouldn't even argue. But I guarantee you the conversation, and I haven't called him because I don't want to get to the phone. I mean, we've been texting. I don't want to get upset with him and say a bunch of stuff because, you know, we're only talking about a few $100s. It's not a lot of money. It's just the point. And I just want him to tell me.
You know, and I don't want to make excuses for him either, but
see, Jodi always wants to give people the benefit of the doubt.
But what happens when they don't turn out? Then I want to punish them.
Yeah, you know, she always wants to give people the benefit of the doubt. I am suspicious of people out of the gate. You know, I'm different, but we've had this conversation. I want to believe the best of people too. I want to, but my experience says they're full of crap, and you can usually spot them pretty quickly. Now, see, Charlie has a differing opinion. He says, not all contractors turn bad. I've been using the same plumber for 17 years. He's a tad more expensive, but requires a lot less supervision. And I'm telling you, that is important in most cases. It's rare to find someone who is the cheapest and the best.
Well, because if you're really good, why should you
be the cheapest?
Yourself? Yeah.
Okay. But it's just like with everything. Typically an investor can't afford to pay the top dollar guy for everything. Right. But there's that mid-range there where people are affordable. Oh
man, we need him on our team over here.
Yeah. Hey, Andrew, we might have some fun later today. I might send you that number and let you give him a call and just have some fun there.
Well, and here's the other thing too, is if they're decently good, then they get booked up and they can't get to you for 2 months. That's the other problem.
Yeah.
It's kind of frozen, I think.
Yeah, for sure. So let's see. Charlie says, well, I can't make this work. Why? Okay. Oh, well, that's the wrong one. So there it is. I have a painter that's done 6 or 7 jobs for me and it's still good. Well, there's hope. 6 or 7 jobs.
Maybe they don't go bad till 10.
I'll tell you, I got really lucky when I was in Georgia. I found a guy that probably he did the majority of them for me for, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 years. He was good. But this guy was unique. I figured him out after a couple of years on his pricing. He had this number that he wanted to make every week. And, at the time, and remember, this was now 20 years ago, it was about $600 or $700 a week. So that's what he wanted to put in his pocket. So super affordable, did good work. And he worked for me for a really long time. We should just have
Charlie come in too.
But that was 20 years ago.
That's right.
I guarantee you he's bad now.
Charlie, do you want to come on too?
He probably is. He probably is. Let's see. Vincent said, I ran a business for 12 years. It's the same with employees. They're good for 6 months to a year. And after that, they get out the drain. Well, there's a lot of pessimists in here, aren't there? Hey, Randy, you might want to log out and come back. Your screen is frozen. So I don't know.
All right.
With that. So come back and join us. Charlie, if you want to come in here, you come in here and talk about it too. Anybody else that has some contractor stories?
I'll send you a link, Charlie, in 1 minute here.
Can certainly do that. Let's see. Charlie said, Dad used the phrase, you should fire whoever is responsible for keeping your promises.
I don't understand that.
I don't really get it. You need to get on here and explain that one to me. But so in our experiences, the flags for a good somebody that's probably going to work out for you, if you've seen their work, the people that we've gone by, and that at least they can do the job. But our biggest flag so far for a potentially good person is someone that doesn't ask for any money up front. I mean, when you think over the carpet, 8 or 10 people that we've gone through so far, everyone that has said they can, and they give you a date when they can start.
Like the sheetrock guy, he was only there one time.
But he didn't ask for anything either.
That's right.
He only hung a couple of sheets of sheetrock and did some finishing work and some texture work. But even that guy didn't ask for money for material.
Right.
So that has been a big thing. I'll tell you that you do need a contract with these people and collect. I'll tell you that you do need a contract with these people and collect. I don't know what's going on with that right now. Contract with these people.
You guys have
collect. I don't know what's going on.
Maybe you need to mute that.
Yeah, you probably need to mute that. Okay. There we go. All right. Where you at, Charlie? You look like you're in a dungeon. Okay. There we go. All right. Where you at, Charlie? You look like you're in a dungeon.
Well, I'm in my house, which can be considered a dungeon sometimes. but we're not going to get into extracurricular activities.
All right. So what about your experiences with contractors? What are some of the flags that you see for a bad one? And you're going to have
Somebody
to,
still got a video
you're going to have
Yeah,
to
let
mute
me
the video.
figure out.
It's doing a bunch of
Just like
feedback
close
here.
the video tab. There you go. You can't mute yourself. You got to turn the video off.
Yeah, you can't mute yourself. You got to turn your speaker down. Yeah. Again, I don't know how to do that and fix it.
Well, I think he just has to close the window.
Yeah.
Charlie, close your YouTube.
Oh,
Totally close it.
close my YouTube. That would.
Close your YouTube.
Oh, close my YouTube. That would.
Close your YouTube.
Okay, we're gonna mute you until
We're going to mute Charlie until he gets
you figure
situated.
that out.
Okay. All right. So,
Talk to
You
Randy.
can't fix old age.
yeah, is it old age? He's coming back. Okay. So gosh, I guess the answer is there's no solution. There's no
Every day there's a problem. I mean,
Yeah.
it's like any other business. You just fight the alligators, stomp out the fires, and move on.
okay. So let's go back to your deal that you're talking about. $450,000 house, contractor problems, thieving. Okay. So what are you going to make on this thing when you sell it?
Not as much as we planned because we're about $18,000 over budget.
Yep.
And we'll probably still end up making 35 or 40, which is
Yeah.
not much on a $400,000 house.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's profit on something that, I mean, how many hours do you have in it, basically? And that's really the way you have to look at it sometimes.
Yeah. But I can make the same $40,000 on a $150,000 to $200,000 house.
That's right.
And I could do two of them and make the 80,000 instead in the same time with less risk.
That's right.
Because you went out of your normal,
Well, yeah, but I mean,
because that's not what you normally do. So you go
yeah,
out of
I mean,
your-
I bought $1 million house before and made $400,000 on it.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just look for opportunities, but the majority of the opportunities are that $225,000 and below house.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Let's try
So-
calling again.
So the real lesson that we have here is stay in your lane. Rehab slow you down if you're trying to flip or do any other stuff.
Ties up your money.
Yeah, it does time for money.
Your time in our case. it's
Yeah,
time too.
in our case. But I think part of our problem is just getting into it. I think the people we have now, if we decide to do another one, it'll probably be a little easier.
Yeah, I think so.
But it'll never be as easy as
As
buying
this is
something for 40 and flipping it for 150.
That's right.
And then just going away and doing the next one. It'll never
pretty
be
darn easy.
it'll never be that easy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Charlie, it sounds like you're back.
Charlie, you're back.
So tell me what you were saying. What was
I hope that I'm not echoing now.
Yeah, you sound
Yeah,
fine
good.
now.
Yeah.
Tell me what it means. You should fire whoever is responsible for keeping your promises. What's that mean?
Okay, I didn't hear what you said. I'm kind of deaf.
Yeah.
You're
What
talking about your dad's phrase about firing
Oh,
whoever's responsible.
What he would say is, if somebody said they were going to be there at a certain time or going to do that, be finished by a certain time, and they weren't, he'd say, "Look, you need to fire whoever is responsible for keeping your promises." In other words, he wasn't putting it on that person. He was saying, "Okay, you delegated this. You need to fire them if they're not keeping your promises."
Do you fire yourself?
That's typically who was at fault, but this was a way to say it without saying
We
you're
need
at
to
fault.
meet ourselves.
Yeah.
Keep working.
Well, I think I understand
I
what
do know
he's
what
what
you're
he's saying, and it goes back to what I said in the beginning. I carry a lot of the blame for the ones that got over on us because it was my fault for giving them too much money ahead or continuing to listen to "I'll be there tomorrow." The first time, certainly the second time, he said "I'll be there tomorrow" and he wasn't. I should have said, "You know what? Don't bother."
I
Yeah.
asked you that. I'm
Yeah.
like, why do you want to keep letting them have more days? And what was your
Well, it
reason?
was because we had a contract. He had 2 weeks to finish it. I knew it was about 3 days worth of work. He could have still gotten it done. I gave him 2 weeks to get it done. So I felt like, to be 100% fair, I needed to give him the 2 weeks. And then secondly,
Normally, if we were in a hurry, I would have not done
normally I probably wouldn't have either, but we
Yeah.
were working on the second one and things were moving along
Right.
over there. So, and then third is, like I told you, in Little Rock, Charlie, now we're not going to have to worry about FHA being a problem.
That's true.
There's a bright side.
Yeah, we're trying to look at the bright side here. Now, when we list it, hey, FHA offers, bring them on. So it doesn't
That's
matter.
true. Well, and what you'll find is there's a difference sometimes in the contractor that you can use for a $200,000 house and a $400,000 house.
Now, I'll tell you this. We haven't gotten out of our lane on that. We're staying in this median price range. See, I'm not as ambitious as, say, Randy, because Randy, a $450,000 there is probably a $700,000 here, I would say. Wouldn't you?
Yeah, you're probably pretty close to right. Yeah.
I'm not touching anything like that. I
Or
mean,
even
now,
600.
if I could buy it for 200, I might, and he may have made a similar deal on his, but
He didn't do
still,
too bad.
I know that $700,000 house in our environment right now is going to sit there for a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not interested in that.
And that part I agree with. As a broker, I've seen the houses that are under 200,000 here in Little Rock are still moving pretty well.
Right.
The houses that are over 400,000 take a little more time.
Yeah. And when that buyer's paying 8%, they were picky before, man. They're really, I mean, there's options out there for them. So they're going to be looking really hard at it. So for that reason, I would say I ain't got that crazy yet. So we probably won't. But I do think they're going to be a lot more motivated sellers in that price range here, for sure. Okay. So if you had any best tips for hiring a contractor, what would you say they are?
Best thing you can do is see what they're doing already. If you find a contractor, when you're looking for a painter, go see where they're painting. Look at them. I mean, see what their cut in is, and so on and so forth. If you're looking for a general contractor, one of the things that it took me a while to figure this out, but the neater they keep the job, the more the pride they have in their work.
Mm-hmm.
And also, if you start out, making people clean up after themselves, the next group that comes in has a tendency, not all the time, but to keep a neater job site too.
Right.
And a neat job site
Did all that.
influences people to do good work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I found a framer one time that every day they policed the site before they left, and everything, all their scrap was in 1 or 2 piles.
Right.
All the lumber was there just wasn't anything laying around.
Yeah.
It was, and I was like, oh man. And they did good work. They kept the job site neat. And of course, when you're building new, I've got a guy that he's still doing work, but that I would hire him in between each phase to clean out everything.
Mm-hmm.
And he broom swept every phase so that, it was neat. And that got me much better quality. And the people that didn't adhere to that, you go find somebody else.
Right.
But if you find people that are neat with their tools and with your material, or their material, whichever way it is, whether you're paying for the material or they're doing the whole job, the neater they are with their project, the better quality, the better caliber of subcontractor you have.
Yeah.
That's true. Because
Yeah.
remember in Prairie Grove,
Mm-hmm.
Painter,
Right.
well, among other things, everything was a mess
Yeah.
all the time. And he left a mess when he was done.
Yeah.
But he's the one that you can tell him that.
Yeah. Well, you can if you want to.
Go ahead.
Well, and here's a good example of that. A painter that we hired in Prairie Grove. Well, he was supposed to mainly paint, but he did a couple of other little repair jobs. This guy, he kept a very messy workplace, and that's a sign, of course, as you just said. But second, and here's an example: when he was through, he was one of those people that would call you, "Hey, I'm done. Hey, I'm done.
I'm done. I gave my money."
Right. So you go down there and he's not done. So wasted time. And Prairie Grove was a long way from where we were. It was 25, 30 minutes one way. So then you say, okay, you're not finished. So then he would call you back.
No, he'd go, okay, I'll just do that real quick. And he'd
Yeah.
just like spot something up, and it was.
So I go
It was
down
long
there
way.
when he's supposed to be finished, and I open one of the doors, and the back of the door is not painted. Right.
Oh, no.
And I said, oh, I think you missed this. And he said, oh, you wanted the back of the doors painted too? Right.
And inside, the inside
I mean,
frame too. You want that done?
Are these things that you ever thought you would need to put into your contract? Doors painted front and back. Right. Okay.
Wow.
So anyway, I mean, you can just run into all kinds of stuff. The things that you think you have to explain to people.
And there was
Well, like I say,
the floor.
the best thing you can do is go find contractors where they're working.
It's about putting in the work on the front end.
And that's
Yeah.
a really good indicator, I think. But again, that's not a guarantee either.
Yeah.
Because
Oh no.
Jack was very neat,
Mm-hmm.
and his work was really good, but he wasn't good at managing his money.
Right.
So that was where the
Right.
came.
And so there are a lot of tips. Okay. You need to check out the work they do and make sure it's good quality work. Don't let them get ahead on the draws. And this is where the contract is important. Your contract should have milestones. When they're through with X, Y, and Z, they get X. When they're through with ABC, they get X. And that's it. And that's when they get it. And they'll try to get money out of you, and you just have to be firm with that. That way they don't get ahead.
And they will whine and, well, I won't make payroll if you don't give me a little bit more.
That's right. They certainly will. And you risk, if you don't give in to their demands, them not coming back anyway. That's just the way it is. But if they don't get money until these certain points,
Yep.
then, you got the money to pay the next guy, which is going to cost more.
Because
Well,
they're
that's
oh man, this last guy really messed up.
Yeah.
well, most of the mechanical contractors have that I've used have a pretty good, okay, I get this much when I get through here. I get this much when I get through here. Right. This is what the final is. Mm-hmm. The electricians, the plumbers, the heating and air people, and of course, I've been doing, new construction. Mm-hmm. Remodeling is more of a headache. Mm-hmm. But yeah, if you, like you say, you got to have these points. This is what you get here. This is what you get here. And like you say, never, ever let them get ahead of you.
That's right. That's bad news. Mm-hmm. That's bad news. So we're a little rusty in the contractor and the rehab and stuff. But I'm telling you, I think we're there now. Our painter said we wouldn't have to pay him anything until he was done. And he texted me the first day and said, hey, can we get a little bit for paint? And I just said, I'll be back later this evening. And I went,
sure why he asked that.
I don't know either, because I went back and he didn't ask again. And so he didn't ask for any money until he was done.
Well, and once you've got a relationship with contractors, mm-hmm. they know you, they know they're going to get their money.
Right.
And it makes it much easier down the road.
Mm-hmm. But you go into this thinking most people do a job for someone and they move on to the next thing. We are a certain source of revenue ongoing.
Right.
And you think that'll matter, but it doesn't seem to.
It does to the right contractors.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin thought that was important too, but
I can't
Remember?
keep up with who these fake names are.
the one whose grandfather died.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Kevin.
He even said it because I checked you out.
Yeah. He said, I found you on the internet. You're kind of a big deal. You know, and we've had two
And he said, "I'd really
contractors
like to keep working with
that
you
made a
'cause I
big
know
deal
that's
about that.
You know, I know this could be good for me, you know, but he just couldn't do it. He just couldn't
But-
pull it together.
The whole time I kept texting him saying, I need the name of who's got my doors. He kept saying, can we continue to work on this job?
I know.
And I wouldn't even answer that question because obviously the answer is no. You had 2 weeks. You should have finished it. We've got a few comments here. Let's see what's everybody saying. Juan says you can delegate authority but not responsibility. Yep, we're 100% responsible for letting these guys get over on us. Make sure there aren't. Matt said make sure they aren't running 10 jobs at a time, rotating them to work on each a few hours a day. Let's see. For investors, time is everything. I agree. It is. I mean, there's the time factor. How much things cost. How much your time costs. What is everyone's thoughts on texting your contractor, on taxing 1099? Yeah, I mean that's what we've done.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that I would say it's important to do is make sure you get that contract, you get a copy of their license, have them fill out their tax form, and get a copy of their driver's license.
Get it. Have W-9 forms that you can give them if they don't have one.
Yeah.
And do it before you cut the first check.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you pay through, and that's something we do not do, Juan. We don't pay through those apps. We write a check.
Yep.
Look at it. I'm telling you, and we had one that we hired to do like a $500 job for us 6 months ago.
I forgot about that nightmare.
When we were at our mastermind, and we told this guy, and all he had to do, he painted a couple of bathroom ceilings.
Change the locks.
He changed the locks on the house. I mean, it was a $500 job.
Oh, I think he fixed the door jam.
And he fixed a door jam. And we told him we're going to be out of town for 3 days. We'll be back on Sunday. And he texted us while we were at the mastermind in Branson and said, hey, I'm finished. And I said, okay, great. We'll be back on Sunday. Take a look and pay you. And man, he
How
went
did you say? You said
nuts.
Oh.
I can't remember exactly how I
I
said
don't
it.
take installments.
Yeah.
You said something about paying me later, and he said, I don't take installments.
Right.
Whatever.
Anyway, we were only going to be gone for a couple of days, and I didn't know exactly when he would finish because, they tell you one thing you don't know. But he knew we were going to be out of town.
Crazy belligerent.
He went crazy. He cussed Jodi out. I mean, called us everything but redheaded stepchildren.
That's so nice.
Right.
No.
And he was bad news. I mean, we came back and I was so angry because he had cussed her out.
I was shaking when I got
I was so mad, and you're thinking, man, and then he started threatening. He said, I'm going to the sheriff. The sheriff told me to
go
get the locks off the house and all of this stuff. And obviously we know you can't do that. And he just stopped communicating. And finally,
He
so
said, you investors are all crooks and
Yeah.
you're all alike. And I'm like,
He said-
Venmo this money to me right now before we'd even seen the
Right.
work.
yeah.
I'm like, no,
We're going to file a lien against the property. We'd never signed anything. This guy was just changing some locks. And anyway, we come back, we go over, we can't find the keys. He said, I don't take checks, Venmo or PayPal me, whatever. And I made him wait a few days.
Yeah, he was so obnoxious.
I was so
Just let him
angry.
sit for like 3 or 4 days, and then I messaged him. And I said, "What's your address so we can mail you the check?" Because he said we would never pay. You're never going to pay me.
And he gave us
And
the
he just
address.
Here's the address.
It was a P.O. box.
Yeah.
But man, that guy was nuts. That was just crazy.
You got to watch. And unfortunately, there are a lot of alcoholics and drug addicts that are contractors.
Right.
I mean, it's a shame, but you got to weed through the good, I mean,
Right.
Well, we decided to do this topic a couple weeks ago when we were really having trouble, but now it's better. So we probably didn't have to,
Yeah.
we probably didn't have to do it this time.
Right. Right. So, Juan said, I don't pay without seeing the work. I'm just saying apps like Venmo issue 1099s. Okay. Well, I didn't know that. But for me, it's just easier to keep up with stuff if I just write a check. That way everything's in my checkbook.
Yeah, I don't want to remember, like,
yeah,
where did we pay him? Through Venmo, PayPal,
right,
a check, or
yeah,
whatever. I don't want to.
But that's good to know that that it'll do
is.
that. But I didn't know because I'm not going to pay. I'm not going to get caught up into that stuff. Yeah. Well, especially like this guy. Okay. He wanted his money right away. We hadn't seen the work or anything. So we don't use that.
He didn't want it for the 1099.
Yeah. Right.
He wanted to get his money before he saw how bad of a job he did.
Yeah. Okay. So, man, we appreciate you guys coming on and sharing your experiences and everything with us contractors, man. I guess, it's just dealing with people, and it's, so we've heard it all. You can do this and do that to increase your chances of getting a good person. If someone doesn't ask you for money up front, chances are much greater they do quality work. They know that. They know they'll get paid. Look at any jobs they're on right now and make sure the quality of the work is what you want. But they can always go crazy anyway in 6 months or a year.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows?
We didn't have a checkbook either, Vincent, at all, ever, like for a long time. But we just got a business, three to a page kind of thing for contractors for that reason, because they don't take credit cards.
Yeah. So that's why we did that. But anyway, I don't know what's the solution. Don't do rehabs, just flip stuff. Randy, is that the solution?
That's, if you want to have a full head of hair, look at Charlie, look at me.
Well, see, I've still got mine.
Well, then you haven't been doing rehabs, though.
That's right. I haven't done
These
These are our first two for me.
I didn't. My last one was in 2010.
Yeah. So it's been a while.
The key to rehabs is good contractors. If you can't find consistently good people to work with, then don't do them.
I feel like too, once you find a good painter and you break into that whole circle of the good, they'll refer you to other good.
That's correct.
Or this or that.
Because a good painter wants to do work after a good trim carpenter.
Right.
Yeah.
And so on and so forth.
And they don't want to, if they care about their reputation, they don't want to refer you to somebody bad. So they're going to refer you to other really, decent people. I find.
Yeah.
That is true.
And don't underestimate getting a deal with enough margin to allow for screw ups and errors.
Well, it's better to have enough margin in there,
right,
that you can get good contractors, because what that does, if you've got a good contractor, if you got good people you can rely on, that means less time of yours inspecting it and following up, and less headache. And that frees up your time to do what you're really good at,
right,
which is finding deals.
Yeah.
If you've got, I found a long time ago, it was much better to pay even 10, 15, sometimes 20% more,
right,
and have fewer headaches.
Oh, I agree with that.
20% more was not very common, but 10% more, I did it all the time.
Yeah. It's not the cheapest. It's the best work for a reasonable price.
Right.
See, the flooring company that we use, right? I mean, we're using a flooring company, and they probably are one of the more expensive ones.
Not more expensive than the other one.
But I'll tell you this: I can call them, give them an address of a house that we've got under contract or just bought. They go do the measurements, send me the quote, send the people. The first house they did for us, I never met this lady. They never asked me for a dime. She communicated with me through the entire process. And then when she was done, she said, "We're finished. Go look. If there's any problems, let me know."
We had one little thing.
There was an issue. We told her. She said, "They'll be out there today to fix it." And then we paid her. And that's it. That's the way you want to do it. That's
really
no
what-
management.
Exactly. Absolutely.
And we're going to use them. I mean, they're our people right now, to
We
use.
probably would have only had to go there that one time to just overlook things,
Right.
look it over, and that's it. That's the only
Right.
time we would have had to go there.
That's right. So, but again, I think the key here, and I see these guys here because I look, when I see an investor buy a house, I follow up with it. And I see a lot of them that'll buy a house that I know from my experience only has a potential profit for $20,000 or $25,000. Man, that can evaporate in a second. And I don't understand how these people sleep at night on that sort of thing at all. But again, you have to
like
buy
10 or 20%.
you have to
air.
buy right on this thing for sure. Okay.
It looks like Randy's just working while.
Yeah, I think
while we
Randy's
talk.
just working. So
I'm working too.
Randy's making money. All right, we're gonna let you guys out of here. I know y'all are super busy. Hopefully, we'll list this thing soon, Charlie.
Right.
But you guys have a great day, and we'll talk soon.
Thank y'all.
All
Have
right.
a good day.
All right, bye.
Okay, guys, we hope this was beneficial for you. Some key takeaways here. Look at their job. Go look. If you think you've got somebody, say, what are you working on right now? Go take a look at it and make sure, look for, as Charlie said, a clean work site, a clean, neat work site. Look at the quality of the work. If they're painters, look at their cut in, make sure lines are clean and neat. If they're carpenters, detail. Painters, that don't caulk are a problem. I mean, you want a neat, clean, finished product. Do they ask for money up front? Talk to them about that. Are you guys going to want money up front? You get paid when you're through with the job. Are you going to get money purely for supplies in the beginning? You get paid for your work at the end. Do that sort of thing. Have a contract with your contractor. They get paid at milestones. If they have several jobs that they're completing, when 1, 2, and 3 are done, they get a draw. When 4, 5, and 6 are done, they get a draw. And then at the final, they'll get that. So those are some of the things to look for. Anything else that you can think of? The key things. And if you listen to these guys, hey, they can still go crazy on you in 6 months. So, but what can you do? You can do all you can to ensure your best chances of keeping somebody and somebody
Again,
that
that's
will
like
do good
dating.
work for you.
You can think you found the perfect person, and then 10 years later, they're hiring a hitman.
Yeah, and the biggest thing, and I can't overemphasize this, and any of my students will tell you, I talk about this all the time, is certainty in your deal.
Right.
Don't fudge the numbers in your mind to look like a potential really big profit. You want this to be worth your while. Contracting, getting people in there to do rehabs is more time intensive. It's a lot more work for you. It's going to be a lot more stress for you than flipping something or buying subject to and selling with seller financing. So for your added time and effort, you should make a handsome profit. Don't try to rehab and flip a $300,000 house with a projected $20,000 profit. We're not going to touch one if we aren't guaranteed 50 or more. We're just not going to do it. So make sure that the profit potential is there.
Because even if everything goes bad, we can still have 30.
Even if, listen, if everything goes bad, I want to make 50. It's just too much work. I don't, when I have to cuss every day, which I do every single day.
It's just like,
it's just
bleep sign going off.
I think back to my VA that's in Nigeria that deals with all the problems that they deal with there. And he says to me, peace of mind is top for me. Okay. And we all need to look at our lives that way. As investors, we make good money, but we need to enjoy what we do. And rehabbing's hard. You're dependent on other people to do work that don't show up and don't take care of things. And you need to make a good profit. Too. So anyway,
it's kind of fun too. I'm sorry.
That's our preaching for the day. Yeah.
So
anyway, you guys, we appreciate y'all being here. Don't forget, subscribe to the channel. Let me see. I have to do the commercials now. Don't forget, subscribe to our channel at sub2tv.com. Let's see. I think we got a freebie here today for you. Success tips for the new investor. Sub2deals.com/success-tips. tips. Go grab that. It's totally free. It'll give you some tips if you're a new investor. Hey, you may learn a thing or two if you're an older investor. So you guys go check that out. And we will see you next Tuesday, I think. All right. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
next Tuesday.
All right. Great. So you guys get out there, talk to some sellers.
Buy some houses.
See y'all next week.